week 4, the final stage of building the foundation that is going to carry you into a successful 2026. So over the last 3 weeks, we've laid down the bricks. Week 1 was identifying the giants. We talked about our own fears, our own doubts, the patterns that we have that created the lack of success in prior years. And now we have talked about building habits and mindsets that kind of stop those giants from stealing the opportunities that we have in 2026. Week 2 was relentless focus. We broke down what it means to say no to distractions, to protect your attention, protect your time, and show up every day with clarity about what you're trying to accomplish this year. And then we went into routines. We talked about why they matter, how they create structure, and how being intentional with your actions builds discipline without relying on motivation. And now, today, we add the final piece of the foundation, and that is momentum. So, if you're ready to put this final piece in place, so we start out 2026 on fire and ready to accomplish everything that you want to accomplish. Let's strap it in. Let's buckle up because it's going to be a ride. All right, here we go. Momentum. Let's start off by saying or talking about why momentum matters. The first 3 pieces of the puzzle, the giants, focus, and routines, put you in a perfect position to create momentum every single day. But momentum is different. Momentum is the force that carries you forward when you're tired, busy, and not feeling it. Momentum is what turns effort into progress. Momentum is what turns progress into consistency. Momentum is what turns consistency into transformation. And there are a few keys to understand when you start building it. Why momentum is important is because it's more important than intensity. And I'm going to take this to a workout kind of metaphor. For a while as a trainer, I was really, really big on intensity. Like my workouts were really, really intense. But because of the intensity, there would be weeks where I was really, really consistent, but the pace and the intensity of the workouts required me to recover for a much longer period. And because of that, I lost momentum because I would take 2 to 3 days to recover, try to jump back in with that same intensity. Where I had taken that time off, I had lost kind of the motivation to be that intense. So then I would have to build it back up, take that rest, and then it was a never-ending cycle. I felt like I really wasn't achieving the progress for my own mental and physical health because I was fighting a battle all the time, trying to stay as intense as I possibly could. And that's kind of how, when you're going for your goals, that's kind of how the same kind of thing happens, right? You start out hot every single day, doing something. You're going hard. I'm going to do it. I'm going to work on it for an hour. I'm going to work on it for 2 hours. You're going to put everything that you have into it, especially within this first couple of months. But then that intensity kind of dies down as life kind of attacks you and things start to get busier. And work requires more of your attention. Family requires more of your attention. That intensity kind of dies down. So what we need to focus on is momentum. Momentum compounds. Intensity is a sprint. Momentum is a snowball rolling downhill, getting bigger and stronger with every turn, right? So momentum is not necessarily big actions. It's smaller actions, like we talked about with routines. It's creating those small actions that compound to make very big strides towards your goals. So when you think about creating momentum, don't think about it as going as hard as you can every single day. That's not what this is about. We want to pace ourselves. We want to move forward. Even if it's small, we're always thinking about moving forward. We're not thinking about accomplishing the goal every single day. We're thinking about accomplishing something that puts us one step closer to the goal every single day. So that's how we start to build that momentum. And that's why it's important to kind of figure out how you build your routine, whether it's a 30-day action plan each month, or it's a 90-day action plan, or however you want to deal with it. Having that routine helps you build those small successes every single day that will compound to you reaching your goal. That is momentum. That's the mindset we have to take, especially in January, because this is going to be a long year. Of course, we're motivated right now. Of course, we're excited right now. But we have to keep that excitement and that motivation throughout the whole year. And that's 365 days. So don't burn out in the first 60 to 90 days because we gave it everything we had. We didn't see the progress that we thought we'd see, and then we're burnt out. So let's slow it down. Let's break it up into small pieces. Build momentum every single day. What that does is that keeps that excitement because you're accomplishing things slowly, one thing at a time. And you keep that excitement. You keep that motivation instead of going as hard as you can. And with that, you have an expectation of where you should be. And when you're not where you think you should be, that's when that intensity kind of dies. That's when the motivation kind of dies. And that's when that excitement kind of dies. So, January, especially in January, let's go ahead and build those small successes. Let's build that momentum. And let's keep that excitement, keep that motivation, compound it. And we're going to reach those goals. And that's really what momentum is all about. Stacking wins. Stacking wins. Wins are not necessarily huge wins. Sometimes the greatest win is surviving the day. If you have a hard day, but you still have in the back of your mind, I'm excited about my goal. I need to do something, even if it's write something down. I had an idea, write it down. I want to put it in my journal. I want to make sure that this is a hard day. What can I solve so that if that type of day happens again, it doesn't overwhelm me. It doesn't put me in a position where I don't feel like I'm moving forward. Those are wins. Those wins will compound. And when they compound, you build momentum. And as you build momentum, you don't lose the excitement and the motivation to keep going. So we have to stack the wins. It's great if we can stack the wins as far as making small strides towards our goals. But we have to understand what wins are. Wins are winning the day. Winning the day, like I say, could simply mean you survived it. You didn't let it get you down. You didn't let it make you feel like you were overwhelmed, that the goal that you have is never going to happen. It didn't steal the joy and the excitement and the will and the want to achieve what you set out to achieve. That's a win. So let's stack those wins little by little. It doesn't have to be something extravagant. It's just progress. It's just moving forward. It's building momentum. Every time you start to build something, it seems like things get harder. I know from experience. It feels like every time I feel like I'm close to getting where I want to be, something comes up and I have to shift my focus from what I have done every single day to now I've got to deal with this first before I can get back on track. It seems like it happens every single time. And in the past, that has really created a detour from me reaching my goals. Now, it's different than a bend. We talked about the bend that can happen when facing your giants, when outside influences don't understand what you're trying to achieve, and they don't see your vision, and they try to put you in a place where they feel you should be and where they feel you will be successful. So that's a little bend, because sometimes you may have to take that little bend to appease them, not necessarily give in to them, but to appease them while you still work towards your goals. A detour is totally different. It takes you completely off your path, and just when you think you can get back on path, there's another detour, and it feels like it takes you further and further away from what you're trying to achieve. And then when that happens, you get discouraged. You think maybe this is not that year. You think maybe it's not meant to be. And so you don't do the little things. You stop compounding those wins. Momentum dies. And so does the dream or the goal that you have. So it's very, very important in those times that you have something to hold on to, because it's not getting distracted. It's not slipping away from momentum. It's you talking yourself out of battling to continue to fight for what you want, because it feels like the fight is too much. And it happens. So you have to come up with kind of systems that say, okay, I had to go this way for a little bit, but what can I do on a daily basis to keep me motivated, keep me thinking about what I want, even if I can't act on it? Thoughts create so much more momentum than people think. Keeping it present in your mind creates a lot of momentum, even when you physically can't work towards the goal. Because the mind really drives what you want to achieve. So if you stop thinking about it because you have to focus on something else, it dies. And you may remember it at a later date, but then it's like starting over. So really focusing on it every single day, figuring out a way to keep it present in your mind, is a great way to keep the momentum going, even if you can't physically take action to make progress towards your goals. And sometimes that takes journaling, like we talked about with routines. Sometimes it's a mantra. Sometimes it's just having somebody close to you that you know understands what you're going through, but also understands what you want to accomplish. And with that, you can reach out and say, hey, I'm having a really, really hard time holding on to this goal that I want to achieve because I have so much going on. Is there any way that we can talk about it? Just so I can keep it present in my mind. So I can keep that excitement. Even though life has kind of bogged me down right now. Even though life is kind of heavy right now. Is there any way that we can just kind of talk about it so I can get that excitement back? So that tomorrow it's present, and even though I can't physically do anything about it right now, I'm still thinking about it. Because that's progress. That's momentum. And that's life getting the best of you in the moment, but you not letting it take away the feeling and the excitement and the want and the will to achieve everything that you want to achieve. It's not about not being able to do it, because that happens. Every day does not create the opportunity to take physical action towards reaching your goals. But it does present the opportunity to think about it, stay excited about it, and keep driving towards it, even if it's mental, to make sure that once you can get it back on track, it's not like starting over. It's picking up right where you left off with that same drive, same will, same excitement. So keep compounding no matter what life does, because life is going to get hard. It's 365 days in a year. Every day is not going to be perfect. So we have to be willing to go through those days, survive those moments. And once we are able to physically get back to what we want to do it with the same excitement and motivation that we had January 1st. Okay? Momentum is one of those things that is subtle for a lot of goals, because we truly can't see progress in the way that we feel like we should. And I'm going to take this to the gym as well. As a personal trainer, I see it all the time. People come in January 1st, they have goals. And I can tell them right away, this is going to be a long process. I love your enthusiasm, and we're going to do everything we can to help you reach that goal. But we need to create small goals right now so that we can build that momentum towards your progress. Because if somebody comes in for 4 weeks, they haven't worked out in a long time. They come in for 4 weeks, say they come in 4 days a week, they work out for an hour, they're eating really, really good, and at the end of that month, they've only lost 6 pounds. What they're doing versus the true expectation and what they're doing and their own expectation are two totally different things. So sometimes as a personal trainer, I have to create those small goals so that I can remind them how far they've come, even when they expected more as far as weight loss. So they're down on themselves because they only lost 6 pounds. They've worked out 16 times this month. They haven't worked out in 2 or 3 years. They were eating the best they've ever had. Why did I only lose 6 pounds? Well, you got to think about it this way. You came in 4 times a week, 4 straight weeks. You didn't miss a day. Every workout, you gave it your all. And the result of that, yes, is you only lost 6 pounds. And I know you were expecting more. But you need to pat yourself on the back, because I know people who have committed to 4 days a week and only come in 2 because life has gotten in the way and they couldn't keep the momentum. You kept the momentum. So let's see what month 2 brings if you bring that same momentum. And we'll see what month 3 brings if you keep that same momentum. Continuing to push, to continue to stay consistent, building those small wins that I keep reminding them about every time that I see them, whether it be a new PR, whether it be a faster run on the treadmill, whatever I can use to build that confidence and show them that they are making strides towards their goal, even though it doesn't feel like it when they step on the scale. By the time we hit month 3, they surpassed what their expectation was. But it took them understanding and me coaching the small wins to get them to that point. Momentum is the same way with every single goal. It's those small wins that build up. And when we don't feel like we're making any progress, that's when you look up 3 months later and you're way ahead of where you thought you would be in 3 months. And it's not because it just happened. It's because you took the small wins and you built them every single day. And that is what creates success. And that is why I use it as the final piece of the foundation. Because it's a reminder. It's a reminder that we can address every issue that has caused us to fail in the past. We can say no to all the distractions. We can build really, really good routines. But if we focus on the goal more than we focus on being intentional every single day to create small wins, there's going to be a point where our expectation doesn't match the result. And that is the easiest way to get discouraged and tell yourself it's not worth it. It's never going to happen. I don't even know why I tried. And then another dream, another goal dies. We don't want that. Not this year. We don't want that. 2026, it doesn't happen. So we're going to use every tool that we've talked about this month. We're going to focus on those giants. We're not going to let ourselves get in our own way. We're not going to let other people's thoughts and doubts and fears amplify our fears, creating that giant standing in our way. We're going to be relentlessly focused. We're going to say no to distractions. We're going to put ourselves first. For once in our lives, we're going to put ourselves first. And as selfish as that may sound, what that does is create the best version of us for everybody, even our family members. Because when we're excited, when we're driven, when we're willing to do the things to create success for ourselves, then we can give the best of us to everybody instead of the frustrated, distracted selves that we give to most of our loved ones because we have so much on our minds. We are clear-minded because we're accomplishing something every single day. We're focused on what we want to accomplish. We're intentional with what we want to accomplish. And we're focusing on the smaller steps instead of the bigger steps. So when they do get our time, they get all of us. And not 85%, 65%. Not the stressed out version of us, but the calm, relaxed, very happy version of us. So we have to make January a month that we build these habits, build this focus, fine-tune the routines, focus on the small goals, and then carry that from month to month. And I guarantee that you will be more successful within the first 6 months of 2026 than you've ever been in your life. And I can say that with confidence because This is my fourth podcast episode. If you would have asked me when I first came up with the concept of Focus Unleashed, and I knew that I had to put it out there for people to find. And the best way that I knew how to do it was with the podcast. If you would have told me that I would have had 4 episodes in the month of January, I would have said you're crazy. Because my initial thought process was, we'll drop 1 episode a month. That's easy. I can do that. That's doable. It won't overwhelm. But that's not what Focus Unleashed is about. Focus Unleashed is about giving your all to the goals that you set out to accomplish. So that meant me honing in to what I wanted to accomplish, creating a plan, and then executing. And because I committed to that in December, I can confidently say I am farther than I ever would have been had I not taken these steps and laid the foundation. Focus Unleashed is a podcast, but Focus Unleashed is a system. It's a system I created based on a concept that I'm not going to let anybody amplify my own fears, my own doubts, my own anxiety about things that I want to accomplish. And if I'm not going to let them do it, I'm not going to let myself do it either. So all those fears, all those doubts, all that anxiety, I conquered that by creating small actions every single day. I created habits that wouldn't allow my fears to creep up. I created mantras to diminish my doubt. I created routines to reduce my anxiety. And now I can share this with you, not as somebody who is just overall successful and I'm going to give you these tips that I use to make $1 million. No. I'm giving you the foundation that I built for myself to start to build success. Because I want you on the journey with me in 2026 so that when I am successful, you can share your success as I share my success. My hope is that soon we will have a community of people who want to be successful in 2026. And as I share my thoughts and the foundation of this system with you, whatever you use and take, you can then share with others so that we can be each other's support system and create success for us all in 2026. I'm extremely excited about the potential of what this podcast can do. Not just for me, but for anybody who listens to it. I'm excited. Truly, truly excited. So this is episode 4. This is momentum. We're not going to let momentum die. We're going to keep it alive. even if it's just thinking about it every single day. Because momentum grows when you do something every single day and you create small wins. And before you know it, you're way ahead of where you thought you would be and closer to accomplishing everything you ever want to accomplish in 2026. And what that does is build more momentum for you to do more, accomplish more. What you set out to accomplish can now grow. And that's what we want. We don't ever want to be so complacent that our goals are so small that once we accomplish them, we're good. That's not what we're doing this year. We want to accomplish our goals, but we want to exceed. We want to exceed our own expectations. So this is where it starts. It starts with momentum. In January is the momentum builder for February. February will be the momentum builder for March. So on and so on. And when we hit December 2026, we're going to be like, yeah, this was our year. We're not going to talk about it in January, talk about this is going to be our year. We're going to talk about it in December, saying 2026 was our year. And that momentum that we build in 2026 will go into 2027. And I'm excited about that. I truly am. Because I feel it. I do. So, I'm going to end episode 4. We have the foundation. We can face our giants. We're going to relentlessly focus. We're going to fine-tune our routines every month. And that's going to help us build that momentum every single day. So that 2026 is a great year. And with that, I'm going to say, good start to the year. Even if you're just listening to this and you're just fine-tuning things, good. It's a good start to the year. I truly believe that these systems are going to put you in a position to be more successful than you ever have. Because I have already seen it in myself. I'm excited. And I want to share it with you. So, great start to 2026. Let's end January on a good note. Leave a comment on this episode if you have any questions, if you need some advice, and just let me know where you are as far as accomplishing goals. You don't have to be steps ahead. You don't have to be 90% there. If you feel like you're 1%, we're winning. And I will celebrate that 1% with you. So let me know where you are, because I'm excited to hear. All right, that's episode 4. As always, stay focused and be ready to unleash it.